All right, gang, I've got 8:30, so I'm going to call the October 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Valley High Operating Committee to order. Can I have a roll call?
Van Hoff,
Present.
Sullivan,
Here.
Collins, Reno, Krieger, Kaminsky.
Present.
Is that Krieger?
Yes.
It's shortened.
Here. We need a motion.
I make a motion to allow Dina to
And I'll second.
be in remotely.
Thank you. A second from Gloria. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome to the meeting officially, Dina,
Thank you so much.
even though we already heard you.
Okay. Okay.
All right. I need a motion to approve the minutes from Valley High Operating Committee Public Meeting, August 1st, 2025.
Make a motion to approve.
Carl made a motion. I got a second from Mr. Sullivan. Any questions, comments, changes, punctuation errors? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Dina, do you approve that?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Public comment.
Don't see any on there.
I don't see any public, so. Member comments. None. Moving on to the administrator's report.
All right, well, it's been a while since we've seen each other and a lot's been going on. We'll talk memory care here as a separate item in a couple minutes, so I'm not going to get into that, although I will just preface it by saying that the rollout went way better than I expected. So we'll get into that in a few minutes. Overall census-wise for the building, we're now running at about 100.5 residents per day, which is right where we need to be. We have to be over 100 in order to start seeing that financial benefit of efficiency with staffing and census. So we've been really busy. The hospital, just to give you an idea of how busy the hospital is right now, we've had 75 referrals in just the last couple days.
Wow.
So that's a combination of a couple different things going on. You don't have Hearthstone on the market anymore, so all of those beds are gone from the inventory. Highlight is in transition. There's a new owner that took over on October 1 as far as the license and the operation of that building goes. They were not allowed to admit residents because of some survey issues that they had, so those beds were out of the inventory. You've got COVID and some other upper respiratory going around in the community, which is why the hospitals are getting hit pretty hard. And those two things combined has kind of put the pressure on the system itself. So we're kind of trying to keep pace with being receptive to what the hospital needs and what we have going on here. We do have COVID in the building. Second floor seems like we're past the peak of it and we're on the downside. First floor looks like they're just starting to come into having some residents that have tested positive. Let me tell you a little bit about this new strain. There's no symptoms. You are a little bit tired, that's it. The problem is, in Illinois, we are still required to broad-based surveillance test. So if one person is symptomatic and gets tested positive, now we start testing everyone. And once you start testing everyone, you find all your asymptomatic positives. So right now we have a little bit of a battle going on between the residents who are asked to stay in the room on isolation, who are really essentially feeling fine, and what they would like to do. So it's a little bit of a battle. We're asking staff to wear masks in the building. We did a flu and COVID vaccine clinic yesterday. So we're kind of following what's happening in the community. Just something to note, we actually predicted this COVID outbreak almost to the day back in May. And so let me explain how we did that. We have had our family picnic on the same weekend in September every year for as long as we can be. We have canceled the last 3. So this year we moved the picnic to June. No problem with the picnic. Had we kept the picnic on the weekend it was supposed to be, we would have canceled it again for the 4th year in a row. Valley High has an absolute pattern. Every middle of September, every end of December, every April, May, there's a COVID outbreak. Every year since 2019.
Is there any rhyme or
I,
reason?
what we think, I mean, trust me, we have discussed this to the end of the earth and back. We think it's all the kids go back to school. That gives you your September one, right? They go to school, they're mixing it up, they bring it home to their parents then bring it into the building, or visitors bring it in. The end of December, it's gotta be the holidays, right? Everybody starts mingling and mixing from all over the place and spreading their germs, and the Christmas gift that keeps on giving. The one that I don't get is the April-May one.
Easter?
But that's not even a real big, like, the holidays, you're going from house to house to house to house to house. Easter, it's usually you go one place for the holiday, and then you're done.
Maybe it's a giant
Spring break,
person,
maybe? I don't know.
And the bunny head just
I don't.
activates everything.
I got nothing. So we were prepared for this to hit. We had the supplies already it's kind of just the norm now. So for the staff, the first day it was kind of like, ugh, but old hat. So we did get pretty much the entire house flu vaccinated yesterday, and that included staff. The uptake on the COVID vaccine is, other than residents, which if they've had COVID in this little outbreak, we didn't need to vax them. But they're the ones that seem to be taking up the vaccine. The staff, not so much. I think I only had 3 staff members that took the COVID vaccine. So that is something that Valley High provides to the staff at no cost, both the flu and the COVID vaccine. So that's kind of what's happening in the world and what it's driving census. The good news is that's driving revenues. And so Mr. Kaminsky and I were talking before the meeting about the numbers. You're not going to really see the impact of the memory care unit until you get the August numbers. And let me explain why that is. May, like end of April, May, and the first part of June, we were overstaffed in this building by a long shot. And part of that was getting all of the staff hired to open the memory care unit and then getting them trained in the unit set up as far as functionality. So we incurred a lot of costs in May and June that were what we anticipated. It was all modeled out. And then July, we opened at the end of June. All of July, you got to figure we're still, oh yeah, we forgot to buy that. Oh yeah, we should have thought about that. We're still running a little bit heavy on the staffing to balance it out from a programming standpoint. You get to August, now we're in our groove. And we hit our groove about mid-July, which is insane. And we'll talk all about that when we get to the memory care piece. But where I'm going with this on the financial side is you're starting to see the numbers coming back to breaking even. In August, our revenue is $150,000 more than it was in July. Now, we don't have the August financial reports, but I can tell you how much we brought in. So if you look at the net loss from July and you just figure tacking a little bit more expenses on there, but you tack on the 150, we finally got it. We're finally at that point where we're starting to break even. So when we meet the next time, that's when we're really going to start to see the impact of what we've done. So more to come when we cover that. Other than that, a couple regulatory stuff. So we are done with all of our annual survey stuff. It took the state 6 months to get our annual survey closed, which is really unheard of. But I'm willing to bet you any money they forgot we were out there when they transitioned over to a new website that we're supposed to submit stuff in. And it wasn't until I sent an email saying, hey, did you look at the stuff we sent? All of a sudden things started moving again. So we're done with all of that. And I say that to tell you that under the federal government shutdown, that means that IDPH doesn't have any wings. And they are shut down too. They are funded by the federal government. So the surveys, unless it's a level 1 complaint, meaning somebody was abused and there's a complaint, you self-report or somebody else reports it, or there's an actual harm incident, they'll come out and investigate that. But anything else is paused. We still have a survey that's hanging out there for the memory care unit. That would be the programming side. So Lord only knows when that's going to happen. It doesn't matter. We can operate. We've been already given that authority. It's just they have to do their follow-up. So more to come on that. And it's kind of what we were talking about before the meeting, though. The longer this goes on, the more it backs up the entire survey process, and it changes when your annual cycle opens and closes. Normally, we're open in January. Survey happens sometime around March. it could push that back a little bit. We're going to be doing something a little bit different this year than we have in years past. The survey process is just getting to be so punitive that we're going to start in December with very targeted and intentional mock survey focus areas, and being a little bit more ornery about what we're seeing and why we're seeing it, and kind of working with the staff months before the state walks in. And we're even I'm working out an arrangement with one of my colleagues that if I go do a pro bono mock survey for them, will she come do a pro bono mock survey here? Which the answer is that, yeah, she will. And we're not going to tell the staff when or who she is. We're just going to let her walk in and be a surveyor. So kind of being a little bit more aggressive with that survey process and leaving nothing to chance. The last 2 years have just been so rough with how picky they've been that we got to change our approach a little bit. So those are the big things that are in your report. I just want to tell you something else, and this is probably music to Scott's ears from a risk management standpoint. I went to a conference a couple weeks ago, and 2 of the sessions that I attended kind of sparked an idea. So one of them was on AI and how we can apply AI in the workplace. And these are,
Oh, those are yours?
take that one.
Take this one.
Okay, this is my pack with all the
Oh,
notes.
okay. So is this the only thing you need?
Yep, yep. And so it was a little scary at first because he was bragging that his wife's a teacher and she's got 50 students and he has written AI programs to grade her papers, so all she has to do is grade 2. The worst kid in the class, the best kid in the class, they throw them in. This is the standard, rate everything against the standard with comment, boom, 50 papers done in 10 minutes.
So they're curving?
They're using AI to grade papers. But I started thinking about it, like, well, if you could ask it anything, get it to do anything, how do we apply that here? And then I went to another session about, and this is where it'll be music to Scott's ears, about informed risk and how we can cut down our liability and lawsuits and even, settlements significantly by having a conversation with the residents and their families at the time of admission about informed risk. But how do you do that? And so this guy showed up on the board, here's an example. You've got a resident with 9 diagnoses, right? And you give the family a spreadsheet, but under each one of the diagnoses, it talks about all of the potential risk factors for that. And so if dad falls, 3 months after admission, you sit down and you say, remember when we met on admission? And out of the 9 diagnoses, 5 of them have an elevated risk factor for falls. We expected this. Okay, so how do you marry the 2 pieces together? And I've been able to do it. My grandfather was here, so I was able to access the medical record a little bit and play around with it. I took his diagnoses off the face sheet, dropped it into AI, asked the right questions once I figured it out, and I have now a 5-page informed risk document that I can share with family. My aunt's a nurse, so I handed it to her and I said, I want you to read this, 2 perspectives, one as a nurse and one as a family member, and tell me, how do I make it so that you can understand it from both perspectives? So what we have started to work our way into is having a set of documents that we can give every single one of our admissions and residents when they have a significant change. And I've gotten it now to drill down not just risk factors, but diagnosis combinations that elevate something else. So like if you've got a diagnosis of, sepsis and cancer and chronic UTI, it spits out that you're at an elevated risk for this, that, and the other. We are going to get to a point where every one of our families is going to have this document, and that way, when things happen, because they will, we can sit down and say, remember, we talked about this. So there's some case study with using this informed risk process, and we're talking about getting 25% of what the original demands are is where they settle out at on almost all cases. That's going to cut our liability significantly. Not only that, but it averts a lot of these things on the front side, because when people understand how the whole picture comes together, it was mind-boggling when you look at it, because you could see all of the things that kind of add up and what's going on with the resident. So that's going to be kind of a new approach, but again, it's the marrying of AI and this risk tool together. The better I get at it, the better the questions I can put in it, the better the report we're going to get to give to the families is. Go ahead.
Which AI platform are you using?
I did ChatGPT. I'm not sure which one's better. Okay, so here's where I'm not a nerd. I'm really actually not techie at all. I'm great with data, but I don't know how to do all of that stuff in the background. I had to ask for help.
Okay.
So I just went to the one that was simple and whatnot. Now that I'm getting into it, I'll play around with Gronk and I'll play around with some of the other ones. So if you have one that you like,
I've used, Google has a product called Notebook LM, which is, I don't think it's entirely walled, but it's based off the concept that you load documents into it, and then the prompts and the responses are geared towards whatever documents are loaded. I've been experimenting with Copilot 365, which has similar features, but things are with Microsoft, it's a little more complicated to figure out. I'm getting there, but you can also essentially do the same thing, develop chat agents that are geared towards, particular subjects based on either PDF or information you load into it, or you can also direct it to specific websites to pull information.
so the one challenge that I've been trying to work through is HIPAA, because none of these AI platforms are HIPAA compliant.
Right.
So I can't scan a document in, because then that document has all of the. So what I've been doing is I bring up the resident face sheet on my computer, and I just copy the diagnoses codes out of that and dump it into the AI.
Okay.
So the only piece of information that I'm putting in besides my questions
Yeah.
is a set of, V1.53, like things that
Right.
don't mean anything to anybody.
Right.
The catch was, and I was struggling with it forever, was I didn't know you have to tell it who it is. You are a doctor.
Oh, okay.
And then I laid it out, and then boom, I got what I needed. Just asking the simple questions, I kept getting it saying, I don't know what you're asking
Yeah.
or whatnot. So I had a friend help me over the hump, and then once I got that, you should have seen me. It was like when you get your spreadsheet done. I was running around the back hallway going, I got it! Because we've been talking about it for weeks. So, kind of a cool thing. I don't know that I would be able to give you guys the, hey, this is the return on our investment. But I thought I'd let you know, from a risk standpoint, that we've got some cool ideas and we're implementing them as we go.
Certainly music to my ears.
Well, I figured you'd like that.
Yeah, it's like Beethoven's Fifth.
Collins had a question.
I apologize for being late. Actually, in my head, I woke up this morning with 9 o'clock in my head, and just kind of, it stuck there. Are you part of the AI committee that the county has?
I am not. I have done a little bit of back and forth, but I'm not on that committee. Getting away from the building it's getting more and more difficult. Maybe now that things will settle down with memory care, I'll get a little bit more time.
So I think that would be important to be a part of that process, because they're spending a lot of time, resources, investigating all this.
I didn't even think to ask them their opinion on which one would be the best platform to use. That's a good recommendation.
Yeah, because of licensing concerns and security and all those types of things, and they're looking at the court. And AI, as they explained, I think at our meeting last month, it encompasses so many things beyond just like ChatGPT. There's specific things you can train it to do. Like you're talking about maybe with codes and diagnoses and stuff like that, that it's not necessarily AI per se, but there are agents and things like that like the court is using it for filings. So it's not, there's specific things they do, and it looks for certain keywords, and it goes from there and does things and stuff like that. So it might be very helpful to you and save some energy and time.
I appreciate that. The one thing we did learn is we had a robot come out, cleaning robot, and it uses LiDAR and it maps your whole building. And so we were talking with the company, and they're like, yeah, this model is made in China. And so it takes all the data of what it sees and it puts it into a cloud, and then it goes back to China. And we were like, okay, so it has a map of the building, big deal. And we're like, no, they're reading charts, things on the walls, badges, like every single thing that comes in contact with this robot as it's going around is uploaded into the cloud. So if you want to have a robotic cleaner, things like that, you have to actually figure out where's the data being stored, how much is it taking pictures, or does it gray out things on the walls. It's like, I didn't have any idea that it's that complex. It is. It is. So, I will,
One more.
Reach out to her.
thought on, talked about the HIPAA.
Mhm.
Are Microsoft licenses government level? The government Microsoft licenses which puts data on a government secure server, or are we just,
Dan, I don't know if you can shed any light onto that question about our Microsoft licenses.
Like using AI or just?
I'm just saying the overall licenses, because I know that there's obviously, public licenses, but then Microsoft has government level licenses. So I'm just curious if ours are the government level licenses, and there's some rider in there that would help address the HIPAA issue, because if we're on servers that are separate, because that's what Microsoft is selling, that might be a way to deal with the HIPAA compliance issue.
Well, I'll say that the first step is, Tom recognized our AI policy, which
Right.
specifically says no PII in the AI.
Right.
And so you,
sounds like a bad 90s rap
this,
song.
that's Alicia Schuler all over it, right? PII, protected individual information, so like all the names, all that data, so he kept that out, and if you did, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And you just make it very, just generic as to what you put in to get that risk sheet out, so that's our policy. The county board adopted that, and I think that's why it's important, because depending on where it's stored, whether it's stored in the cloud or in, like, I know we were using Azure for a while, just don't even let it go there. And so that's step one, so I appreciate if Tom recognized and acknowledged that.
Yeah, we have government level of that.
Okay.
However, we're not really licensing ChatGPT Enterprise yet officially. We're
Okay.
paying.
Yeah.
And even with that one, you want to completely siloed,
Right,
not connected to the internet
right.
thing if you're even getting close to PII.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
So we have yet to reach that, and I hope it remains that way.
Yeah, I would be very hesitant,
Right.
regardless of what level and platform, to put any of that stuff in.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't even put social security numbers without name. I just diagnosis only.
Yeah. Okay.
But more to come on that. and
Sure.
We'll see what it does.
Yeah.
That's my administrator's report.
That's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to cover the rest of it separately.
I have a question and comment on what you said. So for the question is regarding the COVID vaccine. Which one are you using?
You know, I can't answer that question.
Okay.
Um,
It most likely is Pfizer, but I was
most
just
likely-
curious.
Most likely it is, because that's what we've been all along. Pharmacy comes out and administers it. Because of the COVID vaccine storage and administration challenges, long-term care is not licensed to administer.
Okay.
So I can find out for you if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I'll shoot you an
about
email
that.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Is it CVS that is coming out?
No, it's Forum, our long-term care pharmacy, our pharmacy.
Oh, okay, alrighty.
So then there's
I
already a
used
mechanism.
CVS before, they came out.
Yeah, no, we've, even through COVID, we've used our contracted pharmacy for the residents to do all of our employee stuff.
Okay,
Even the flu vaccine, we get it through them.
wonderful. And then I wanted to comment on the mock survey. I did that, and I used a registered nurse who was also a licensed nursing home administrator. And, she kind of pitched this idea to me because, as you know, the two things that the surveyors look at very hard are med passes and dietary. And the nurses are just perfect for looking at, the kind of things and there are certain things that are trending every year. But the first year that I got her to come and do that, she was right on with what, because they go through, and people did know we were doing a mock survey. Not the employees so much, but the nurses kind of had to know because, they would figure it out,
Yeah, but you don't tell them until the day that it happens, right?
So they don't get to, like fix things up or,
Exactly.
take things off the top shelves because they're too close to the ceiling and that kind of thing. But it really did make a difference because she was right on with what she pointed out. So the administrator that you're going to get to come in and do the swap, probably, will be able to spot those things.
Oh
right
yeah,
away.
she's good. She's the one I was telling you about who had the survey start this week and had to get suspended because of the shutdown. So, yeah, I think that it's probably a good thing because I know that I can walk these halls and not see.
Right.
I mean, after 15 years, there are things I just don't even notice. So having an outsider's eyes on it probably will help.
It's like editing your own work.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of hard.
I'm sorry, I stepped on you yesterday. I just about to do it.
That's okay. No, I just thought that that was a really good idea, and especially the way you're doing it, you know, so you don't have to outlay any money for it. She is going to be here, and then you're going to do, so it's great. You're going in with new eyes over there, and she's coming in with new eyes over here. I'm done.
Hearthstone, how many beds were in there, and is it, it's flat out closed? Is there any information that anyone else is gonna come in and
Okay,
use the
so
facility?
Hearthstone, I'm not sure exactly how many beds they have, but it was over 100. So that was a big facility, but Hearthstone had multiple parts too. So they had a skilled section and they had an assisted living, and so it wasn't just a loss of skilled beds from the McHenry County inventory, it was also assisted living.
Right,
Now, second question you asked is there anybody that's gonna buy it?
yeah,
That building and it never went up for in the market, which is really weird. Normally, you'd see a building that they would shop around, and there's operators out there right now that they're building a portfolio off the bankrupt facilities. So there's no doubt somebody would have bought it. It kind of tells you something. Either A, that building is not fully sprinkled, and that has been something that the federal government has been pushing hard. And so if
fully sprinkled?
sprinklers,
Oh, okay.
fully sprinkled. Older buildings weren't, the old building code did not require it.
Okay.
And so, I mean, could you imagine what the cost would be to take a building of that size and have to repipe the whole thing? The money, and so it's either that, or I've heard from a shared employee who has been at Hearthstone forever, well, was at Hearthstone forever, that they have some significant electrical issues. So I think there's something wrong with the building that would cost a lot of money to get it up to code and then to get it positioned to the market. So it never hit the market space. What are they gonna do with it? That's a great question because they've got a daycare they're still operating and they still have cottages. So I have no idea. My thought was it probably would be good real estate that it's on 47, that ends up becoming apartments. You know, you knock it down or you rehab it and turn it into apartments. But there's nothing being discussed about it. There's no rumors or anything about it going, somebody coming in to get it. And at this point, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
You know, when you buy a building, you're buying the resident census, you're buying the staff, you're buying the equipment. The census is gone. So,
what kind of void did that create for the nursing home and the bed demand within our area?
that's why I have 75 referrals.
But in other, or other homes getting full too, what I'm saying, is that gonna create a further problem down the road?
Yes.
As the demand continues and
Yes.
the beds are just not available anymore?
You nailed it right there. So that the problem you're seeing it now, it's starting to back up the system. Once everybody is able to, because keep in mind, you've got buildings out there that have the beds but don't have the staff to be able to put somebody in that bed. So somehow that has to rebalance itself out. And that's going to take a little bit of time. But while that's going on, you're going to back up the hospital system for the younger people. You know, most people don't realize that long-term care is the relief valve of the hospitals. So someone who's, elderly goes into the hospital, they're in a bed, they're tying up that bed for someone who's younger until they can get placement into a long-term care facility. If we can't free that pressure up from the hospital, those beds dry up for the younger people who have other things going on, elective surgeries, things along those lines. So it is a real problem. Yeah. Would I have anticipated that Hearthstone would have gone out of business that quick? I mean, that was a 60-day notice and gone. And it was not even like on the radar until we knew, everybody who's,
They've been having problems.
yeah, everybody knew that, but you had that Capital Group out of New York that was still pumping money into them. So they were limping along, and then it was just gone. They gave their 60-day notice of closure to the residents and closed.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's a question you want to kind of put a pin in, and when we get 6 months down the road, that's a question we want to explore again.
Yeah,
Like, what is happening in the marketplace?
Yeah.
Is there anywhere to go, and what can we do to relieve that pressure?
right,
So,
right. No routine consent agenda, no old business discussion items, supplemental budget request for fiscal year 2026.
I have two items that we would like to add to the supplemental request list. It's the last page of your packet. I'll explain them real quick, and then we can kind of talk through it.
Grab me what I need.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep. The first one is a composting program that we want to get into that we don't know what the impact on the other side of the trash collection side is going to look like yet. So let me explain kind of what we're doing. And Valley High is going to be a test site for McHenry County on this company called Waste Not. They're already at MCC and they've had a lot of success. And so we're hoping that if we can roll it out at Valley High without any issues, the next place would be the jail. And really what it is it's food waste. And you can, as you can imagine, you know, having 3 meals a day plus snacks and events and everything else, how much food waste we create here. So the idea is we would get 4, I think there's 64 gallon containers that we would put all of our food waste and the paper waste that's related to creating meals and whatnot into these bins. This company would come out, they'd pick up the bins and take this waste off site. It's a nominal rental fee for the bins. And then they compost it. That will significantly reduce the amount of trash that we are putting into our compactor and then having picked up. I don't know how much that's going to impact it yet, but we would like to get this going and we would like to fund it. And it's going to cost us a little under $5,000 a year to do. So we're asking to put that in as a supplemental, and then next year we'll be able to look at what did that do to our regular trash costs, and we'll adjust from there.
Now, are you on a regular trash pickup cycle?
Yeah, so we'll be able to kind of extend that out.
Okay.
And we mess with that cycle a lot. So one of the things the contract allows us to do is, let's just say we're in an outbreak. We're going to create more waste. We get it. We'll just have another pickup that week.
Okay.
And so if we reach a point where we don't need them, we stretch them out. So we'll be able to adjust.
Okay.
But your stuff that you're getting rid of, such as the plastics and paper, isn't that recyclable?
It's really hard to weed through all the plastic and whatnot. So we do cans, we do the office stuff, but when it comes to every plastic spoon that's used during a med pass, don't want
I
to
was
do
kind of
recycle.
referring to seeing the cart today, and I'm passing it by it. Blue medical plastic stuff I saw, all in bags as guys cleaning it.
Actually, that's
Your recycle should be kind of on the free side, ain't it?
we're not recycling all that plastic. Keep in mind that a lot of that stuff biohazard on that. So some of that plastic is
Okay.
going into a red bag and getting picked up by a biohazard company. Some of that plastic is just general plastic. It's going out in the trash. The largest plastic that we create is the briefs. I mean, all of the residents that are wearing some type of Depends or briefs.
Okay.
There's no way to separate that. And
Right.
there's a significant amount of that. I mean, it's probably our second largest expense other than staff. Well, no, food, then briefs. So, not real easy to separate all of that, but the one thing that will allow us to do is, like, let's just say there's a pizza box. Instead of the pizza box going in the trash, it goes into compost now. All of the cardboard that, the bananas come in. Instead of it being recycled out, some of that just get it right into the composting. So we're going to be able to reduce one side when we're bringing up the other.
Yeah, in many respects, since this is a contained environment, this is a great pilot project. We went to MCC, and who has been actively engaged in this for some time. We're really well received. It takes some training for people to get used to it, but once you're there, it has reduced their trash. And so we're looking at Valley High being a contained environment. Look at this pilot project, and it opens up the door. Depending on it, could we roll this out to our next highest food user, which would be the jail? And so that's a little bit too hard to separate all there. So that's why we want to see how it's going to work here, and then we can make some decisions if we want to move forward.
To Do we know with NCC and their program, have they reduced spending on trash collection as a result of it?
Well, that's what they said. They said that there was offset because the food waste, as Tom was saying, that's going in a whole different waste stream. And, you know, now you're reducing the amount in your dumpster, just your general landfill disposal. And then that, because we have a cost for that landfill disposal and how much that is. So they're seeing an offset. I think we want to monitor it to see what it would look like for us.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, staff are excited about this.
Yeah.
Any more questions on that one? All right. The other one is something that we've been talking a little bit about, and that's the position that we were changing with that focus on organizational health and customer service and whatnot. The timing of us putting together our budget and me having an opportunity to sit down with Suzanne and get it, the position graded and whatnot, we missed each other by a little bit. So we would like to get this included into the budget. It's a position regrade. It's going from a 3N to a 5N, so the impact is about $9,000 for the year. And this is not a new position, it's more of a transition from, you know, a person we have on staff. We want to realign their duties to be a little bit more in focus with managing basically like our first impressions. And like I said, if you recall, I've mentioned this to you guys a couple times in the past, so.
Does that 9,000 include benefits?
No, that would be before. Yeah, that's just the raw pay rate.
Benefits are already included.
Yeah, the person's already full-time and getting benefits.
Well, they'll get additional benefits though. So
Well, it would be IMRF and then your payroll
it
costs.
will go up
right.
because of the
Yeah.
raise,
Yeah, insurance is a wash.
You know,
It's a neutral.
that's understood. I just have a question about that. You know, when we look at the grades, at the position grades, we're not looking at the person, we're looking at the position.
Absolutely.
So if that person that we're looking at for this position would happen to leave, that grade would remain the same, and the next person is, I just want some clarification.
Suzanne said that almost verbatim when we started talking. And I mean, literally, you could have been sitting in the room the way you just said that.
Okay.
So absolutely, I can assure you, we made a position. Now, yes, do we have a guy that is absolutely perfect for it? Yes. Do we is he part of the reason why we started thinking along those lines? No. Actually, I started thinking along those lines after going to, are you familiar with Lutheran Communities in Arlington Heights?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
It's a massive organization. I met with their CEO and their person that is that role probably 6-9 months ago at this point. Toured their building, talked through their employee recognition program and their employee, you know. That's where the idea started. It just happens that we have two pieces that we can marry together in perfect time right now. But if I'll just throw his name out here. If James was to leave, I'm going and finding another James.
Okay, all right. I knew Suzanne would have advised you of that. She's really
More than
sharp.
once.
Okay.
So, will you have to replace the admissions coordinator?
No.
No? Okay,
No, we're just, we're realigning some responsibilities. Those will get picked up.
okay.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments on that?
So, excuse me, so do we need resolutions on these? What's in, that's,
This will be in the supplementals when it goes forward with the budget. You'll approve the budget, then you'll approve the supplementals, and this will be included in there,
Okay.
specifically identified.
right.
Okay, 8-2, Heart of
All
the
right.
Valley performance.
So let's talk about Heart of the Valley. This is what an adventure the last couple of months have been. And if you ask the director of the unit, Nick, how he's doing, he will tell you he's vibing. And that means guy is stressed to the max. He has lived and breathed the unit since we hired him, and it shows. Our satisfaction surveys that we sent out, now, we got 5 back. So, I mean, the sample size is small, but it was 100% satisfied. And that's exactly what we were going for. Have we had some bumps along the way? Yeah. First couple days, we realized that how we were bringing food up wasn't working, wasn't keeping it warm. So we had to go out and buy Dutch ovens in order to adjust for that. So these are those costs that we didn't account for. You know, yeah, whoops. So we're at a point now where we're stable. And so let's just talk through kind of the impact. If you recall, when we did all of our modeling, we were going to have the unit open in February, and then we would have it full by the end of November. So we were delayed in opening till June, almost July. Various reasons, getting some of the work done, some of the permits finalized, but
IDPA signing off.
all of the fun stuff. However, we filled it in 2.5 months and not all the way into November. So at this point, from a modeling standpoint, we are ahead of the revenue curve that we intended, which is probably crazy. I told Nick, the unit director, like, there's no pressure for you to fill this at any pace that is not comfortable for you and your team. If it takes you till November, it takes you till November. Then the guy just, we had a couple on the first day, a couple more, and he's like, yeah, we're feeling good. A couple more, and then I was like, boom, he was off to the races. So we've had a full complement of staff on that unit since day one because we kind of fell right into it by the end of the first week. So what does that put us at from a occupancy standpoint? As we sit in this room right now, all 21 of those beds are full. There's no room at the inn. That also means that we're starting to collect names of those interested. So that unit should remain between 20 and 21 residents. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of fluctuation, but going forward, and it's already made its name for itself in the community. We've had a couple community events where we've had referral sources out here. We did a Taco Tuesday breakfast with all the referral sources out on the. It was perfect. We did it out on the deck. We had already got the unit was full at that point, so they could see the life of what was going on. But the morning it was like 75 degrees. We had iced coffees. The sun was just coming up over that. It was perfect. So we've had a lot of success in that regard. Case mix wise, because that's an important thing that we're going to need to talk a little bit about as we get clarity on one big beautiful bill impact. We're mostly Medicaid heavy. However, we have had some short-term rehab success on that unit. So we may get into that a little bit more, where if we have a bed open and the hospital has somebody that needs rehab, but they have a dementia or Alzheimer's diagnosis, we have had multiple residents now and had pretty good success doing therapy on that unit. So we're going to be able to do all three payer sources, or payer types, I should say, going forward. Right now, today, it's almost, let's see, we got Medicaid 13 and private pay 5. So that gives you an idea of where we're at. So Medicaid is still paying at a pretty good rate. We're in a good spot with that. If the one big beautiful bill cuts Medicaid reimbursement, well, it would be the downstream impact of that bill that cuts the Medicaid reimbursement. We'll sit down and we'll reevaluate. But at this point, from a financial standpoint, things look good. And so questions that you guys are going to want to, or should be asking is, well, how did we finish in relation to the budget we established for this? Well, we had said that we were going to come in just under $4 million on this project. Through the month of July, we have about $100,000 still in our budget, but we still have 2 projects that are getting finalized. The WanderGuard installation is in, but we would like to make some adjustments to it. That's going to be an expense that will get booked to the project. And we're getting our lawn irrigation system fixed. It got damaged during the construction. They haven't been able to figure out what it is. We are going to get that done from a different company and then charge it back to them. But there will still be an expense on one side. So when it's all paid out, it's going to be almost spot on the budget that we predicted. I don't anticipate that we will go over. So we'll be able to go around and say we finished under budget, but don't go selling it too hard, because it's going to be like maybe about $100 under budget. But we're going to get there. So we finished a little bit delayed, but we finished under budget, and we're going to be ahead of the revenue curve. Last thing just to talk through is financially. Right now, in the financial reports, and I kind of detailed this out for you guys, in June, overall, the organization, we were in the hole by $257,000. July reflects almost the same number, and it should, because we didn't open the unit till the end of June. So now you're starting to see the impact of it. August, that number was cut down to $129,000. And why is that important? because the August numbers, the September numbers, we look like we are about 150,000 more than where we were at the month before. That wipes out that loss. And we are finally back to where we're close to, if not breaking even, and that's the key. We thought it would take us till November to get there. We're gonna get there by October. So we'll be a little bit ahead of the schedule, but the revenues are coming in just as we had figured they would. Otherwise, building for the most part is fully staffed, both sides of the house, and it's full. So at that point, I'll take any questions you guys have about this stuff.
I just have one question again, as far as the case mix, can you tell me what it is for Medicare, Medicaid, and private?
For the whole house?
Yeah.
Do you have that model real quick? We can
Yeah, let me-
steal the numbers, because it's a percentage. Where are we at?
So this is, so this would be I think this is at
Overall, yeah.
the overall. So we have built in the model, so just with what was approved, so it'll be 58% Medicaid, 25% Medicare, and 16% private for the general house. Memory care unit, we have 57%, 24%, and 19%.
So numbers
Let me
wise,
stop you for a minute, Scott, because memory care is private pay, correct? Not all of it? Okay.
no, it's
So-
predominantly
so-
Medicaid.
So is that why Medicaid, I expected that Medicaid weren't we at a larger number at Medicaid before?
Larger percentage?
A larger percentage?
Yeah, but the difference right now is not the private pay side. It's the short-term rehab. We are rocking and rolling right now in the short-term rehab side.
Okay, but we are up on private pay, you said 16%.
So that's what the target would be,
Okay, but
based on what was approved.
can you say where we are right now?
I can do some math.
We almost mirror that in
Okay.
percentages.
So Medicare, let me just repeat this, make sure I got it right. Medicare, you said 28%, Medicaid 58%, and private pay 16%?
58 Medicaid, 25 Medicare.
Oh, 25.
16% private pay. It was the general bed mix that we endeavor to achieve. Now it's going to fluctuate, but that's really our target.
Okay, and the reason I'm asking this question is that, if bad things happen for funding for Medicaid, I just want to have a feel of where we would land with
Yep.
that.
Well, we're watching that very, very closely. And that's why I kind of keep throwing on the table every time we meet. There's a conversation we're going to have once we know what one
What's
big
gonna
beautiful
happen.
bill impact. Until that happens, it's real premature, because I don't even know what the numbers are going to be. 5%, 3%,
Right.
who knows? Right now, our Medicaid rate, we want to be all in on Medicaid. But it would be absolutely stupid for us to do that, because if it changes, now I'm
Then
landlocked.
That's right.
So that's why we've kind of set this, we've got a little bit of fluctuation, and the key right now is just stay heavy in the short-term rehab and in the Medicaid. And if we have to adjust, short-term rehab is just that, short-term. And then we can start moving chairs on the deck, so to speak. So yeah, no, we're keeping a very close eye on it.
Thank you. I think you're doing really good with that, too. I mean, that's how some of the places that are closing.
That's how they got in trouble.
That's how they got in trouble. And
Absolutely.
they'll get in more trouble if bad things happen with Medicaid reimbursement, a lot of them will close.
There's a whole host of them within our geographic area that are probably sweating bullets right now. Because if that rate adjusts, they're the ones that have been taking a lot of the Medicaid, but the really difficult Medicaid that are young. Well, you're landlocked now, because you can't just discharge your residents. So I've been, for as long as I've been here, I've been very cautious and pushing back on the idea of going all in on Medicaid. If you recall, there was a time in the past, that was a discussion item, going all in on Medicaid. Yes, for a couple of years, it would have been an absolute windfall for us. But the downside of that, put us out of business, right? If things had changed. So when the time comes that we know what that number is, we're going to have to put it into the model, put it up on the board, and start playing around with what we want our case mix to look like. So, and then also, what do we want our private pay rates to look like? You know, maybe we need to raise those rates a little bit more. You know, especially when you're the only game in town.
That's right.
So, more to come on that.
Any other questions, comments? Collins.
So, on the statement of operations.
Yep, let me get there.
Memory care is included in those numbers.
Yes.
So they'd be broken out between, they're part of the Medicaid number, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
So, I would have thought with the memory care up and running, the revenues would have been more substantial than what we're seeing. Am I missing something?
Yeah, and when you're looking at this, August is not in these numbers. The unit opened on June 23rd.
Got it, okay.
So
Okay.
when that's why I keep saying, when we get to August, we're gonna be able to really have a feel for where
Okay,
we're at.
Okay, perfect, okay.
Yeah.
All right, got it, okay, thank you.
My August numbers are $150,000 more in revenue than the July numbers. I just don't have the
Oh,
financial.
you said that, you got it
Yeah.
right, okay.
Yeah,
apologize.
so it is going up,
Okay, good, okay. all
but
right.
I also will, just throwing it out there, the operating expenses numbers are gonna go up a little bit.
Oh, sure,
too.
yeah, no, I get that, yeah. Well, I mean, you were fully staffed on day one.
We were fully staffed back in May.
Right, so from an administrative standpoint, some of those numbers, those shouldn't change at all, because they
Nope.
were already in there.
Nope, the only thing that'll change a little bit is food,
Yeah, food, right, disposal type stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, got it, okay.
Yep.
perfect, thanks.
medical supplies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Anybody else? Dina? Okay. No future topics, no executive or future topics, I take that back, 6 months, the marketplace update relative to Hearthstone and the impact that's continuing.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that, I think what we should do is just make that part of the administrator's report
That's fine.
for a while.
Yeah,
So I'll give you guys a market update of what's going on.
yeah, that makes sense, that makes sense. Any other future topics?
Well, once we get the data situated for member care, updating the model and showing you where that sits, so we're still waiting on, now it's fully staffed, so we know what the operating costs are, we'll be able to chart the operating costs and then the revenues and get a better picture of what it will look like.
Yeah, just one final comment. You know, your April surge, I was thinking about this. It could be spring break.
That is a
Have you
possibility.
thought about that, like the aftermath of
It
all
could
of
be.
these students getting together?
And we do have a lot of younger staff, younger professionals. Yeah. That's probably it.
I can't think
Where
of
do you go,
anything
Gloria?
else.
You go to Miami Beach?
Well, I can't. No, I don't do that.
I go to St. Charles.
I don't do that, but my,
We're super exciting in the Annarella household.
All right, no executive session. I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Gloria makes a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed?